On June 22, 2025, the world went silent for a beat.
Tonight, the world waits as Iran vows to retaliate after the United States joined Israel's air campaign to destroy the Islamic Republic's nuclear program.
News broke that the U.S. and Israel had launched a coordinated strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. The names that defined Iran's nuclear ambition: Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan. Briefings framed the targets as the core nodes of Iran's program, hit with surgical timing. The mission carried a code name, Midnight Hammer, a silent, precise blow in the dead of night. From above, U.S. B-2 stealth bombers and Israeli F-35 squadrons unleashed massive bunker buster bombs, driving deep into the underground complexes. Media outlets across the globe ran it as breaking news.
This was a preemptive action, taken to prevent Iran from obtaining weapons-grade uranium.
But just one day later, satellite images of the sites were released and everything changed. No direct traces of nuclear material were identified in the rubble, only shattered concrete and dust. And people started asking the question.
So, was there ever a real nuke to begin with?
But the more specific evidence that followed started to reveal something else: empty boxes. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. In the immediate aftermath of the strike, in some broadcast reports and independent satellite imagery analyses, parts of the Fordow underground structure appeared to have collapsed. But something didn't quite add up. Damage to the Natanz roof looked limited, and some analysts noted that early, publicly available thermal imagery did not show a pronounced high heat signature. And there was more. 2 days later, the IAEA requested radiation readings from the site.
At present, the competent Iranian authorities have confirmed that the Natanz enrichment site has been impacted and that there are no elevated radiation levels.
If weapons-grade uranium had truly been present and bombed, the resulting radiation would have been unmistakable. Yet the scene looked unnervingly tidy. And then came an even bigger shock. 3 nuclear scientists assigned to the Fordow facility disappeared after the strike, and none of them have been found since. All 3 were officially registered with the IAEA until 2024. They were key figures in charge of enrichment systems and nuclear material storage. But right after the strike, their names were wiped from everything. Government rosters, social media, email directories, even LinkedIn, regarding the missing scientists. Speculation was already spreading fast across Reddit and Telegram.
They didn't just escape on their own. Some even claim they were extracted and are now under U.S. protection.
But to really make sense of these suspicions, we need to start with the weapon that was actually used in those pre-dawn hours. This wasn't just a simple airstrike. They said this was the one chance to actually shut down Iran's nuclear program for good. At least that's what the U.S. and Israel claimed. June 22, 2025. Israeli F-35I stealth fighters breached the skies over northern Natanz, while 3 U.S. B-2 Spirit bombers launched from high above the Indian Ocean. Their payload, the GBU-57, also known as the Bunker Buster. Its weight came in at 13 tons, with a length stretching to more than 20 feet. It bores through roughly 200 feet of standard concrete, or over 65 feet of reinforced walls. It's the nearest non-nuclear analog the U.S. fields. But this monster doesn't just fit on any jet. No fighter could handle it. Not the F-15, not the F-35. Only the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber had the capacity to carry such a load. That makes it heavy, secretive, and built to be a game changer. And here's the craziest part. These massive bombers and fighter jets were never seen. Not by satellites, not by radar, not by anyone. The B-2 was so stealthy, it earned a chilling nickname, an aircraft the Air Force called the Invisible Ghost. Shaped and skinned to swallow IR, radar, and heat. The Israeli F-35I squadrons were equipped with their own advanced electronic jamming systems and radar-absorbing paint so effective they were flying over Iran without a single soul knowing. Inside, it's not just high explosives. A tungsten alloy core rips downward through solid ground. Then, after digging 200 feet underground, it explodes twice. First, a collapse charge, then a thermobaric surge topping 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Built to erase oxygen, life, and proof. Combat use of this weapon is extremely rare. It's more than a bomb. Militarily, it's a warning. Strategically, it's a show of force. Reports claim Putin even moved his command posts because of it. Kim Jong-un allegedly halted bunker operations and ordered his nuclear facilities relocated. Even Xi Jinping once called it a balance-tipping force in modern warfare. But this time, they actually used it. It marked the first confirmed combat use of the GBU-57. So the question is, what did it actually accomplish? Fordow, Isfahan, Natanz, 3 of Iran's key uranium enrichment sites, struck at the exact same time. Local media reported parts of the underground facilities had completely collapsed. But that's when strange questions started popping up. The operation was originally scheduled for April 2025. The plan was approved in late March. Even Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency, called April the perfect window. But for reasons still unclear, the strike was delayed by 2 whole months. During that time, Iran suddenly moved its Fordo scientists to off-site dorms. They also denied access to IAEA inspectors. As one source put it,
in those 60 days, Iran hid the nukes, and the U.S. probably knew it. But still, the strike went ahead anyway.
Why? If the real target wasn't the nukes, then what was it? The strike on Iran's nuclear facilities was all over the news. But as time went on, reactions to the operation became sharply divided. The U.S. insisted it was a necessary move to stop Iran from building a nuclear weapon. But almost no physical evidence of the strike's success was ever shown. What really raised eyebrows was that even inside Iran, there were almost no reports of radioactive contamination or nuclear debris. Meanwhile, major European nations started speaking out with open concern. 3 days after the strike, France's foreign ministry issued a rare, blunt statement.
Iran's nuclear ambitions are a clear threat, but launching a military operation without physical proof sets a dangerous precedent.
Germany pressed harder, publicly questioning the strike.
We question the timing of the attack. The intelligence cited has been known for a long time.
Then, the narrative slipped. The Associated Press published an exclusive interview with an anonymous U.S. defense official. He had this to say.
We'd been tracking Iran's nuclear development for 2 years. Militarily, the timing wasn't ideal, but the 3rd week of June, aligned perfectly with the election cycle, major defense contracts, and key international summits. Strategically, it was the perfect moment.
So, was the strike really about nukes, or was it about something else entirely? When the details of this event broke, the first surge didn't come from mainstream outlets. Instead, strange clues and explosive claims started spreading like wildfire on platforms like Reddit, Telegram, and X. The first major thread came from Reddit's conspiracy subreddit.
It looks like Dr. Amir R. crossed the Iraqi border 2 days before the Fordo strike. Satellite and thermal imaging show what looks like his SUV, matching its shape and heat signature.
As proof, the post shared Google Earth images of a convoy of heat-shielded vehicles on a desert road in western Iran, along with a screenshot from the doctor's old LinkedIn page that showed his last location tag as Baghdad Embassy District. That same day, a private Telegram channel leaked an encrypted message, allegedly exchanged between Iranian students abroad.
The fire came down and we were underneath it. Now we head north. We need new equipment. K is ready and made it through.
The interpretation was that fire meant the airstrike. Underneath was the bunker. North pointed to the Russian or Turkish border, and K and N referred to two of the missing scientists. Another twist followed. One of the vanished scientists was reportedly listed as an anonymous speaker at a closed-door nuclear non-proliferation workshop in Washington, D.C. in 2022. The record of this workshop was later discovered. This is when a theory really took hold.
They didn't just vanish. They were extracted by the US and Israel ahead of time. And the strike was a staged show on an empty facility.
Some dubbed it Operation Shell Game, a war of appearances where the real prize was already hidden somewhere else, making the whole thing a strategic act. Every crisis has a ledger, losses on one side, windfalls on another. After the strike on Iran, the first thing to move wasn't troops, it was the stock market. On the first trading day after the attack, shares of major U.S. defense companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman recorded double-digit gains for several consecutive days. But there's one other company you need to pay attention to: MP Materials. MP Materials is the only rare earth producer in the U.S. They supply the magnets used in radar, missile guidance, and electronic warfare. What stands out is this. On the very same night Iran's nuclear sites were hit, the Pentagon moved fast, finalizing a deal with MP Materials worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And just 2 days later, Apple followed almost immediately, announcing an investment valued at over $500 million. Faster than words, the numbers moved first. Notably, U.S. resource security reports had already named Iran and China as key threats to the rare earth supply chain. This means the strike may not have been about stopping Iran's nukes at all, but about neutralizing the resources and technology Iran was getting close to controlling. And all of this within just 72 hours of the strikes. Billions in contracts had already been signed. So who took the upside? The big asset management firms that held defense stocks, the insiders who knew about the connection between the Pentagon and the rare earth companies, and the politicians who never fired a missile but knew exactly when to buy. Which makes why a smaller question than who benefited when. July 15, 2025. Nearly 3 weeks later, near the southeastern Turkish border, an international environmental agency detected abnormal radiation levels. No official statement followed. Local witnesses described convoys and lockdowns, while drone footage showed hazmat suits and black cases being moved. Drone footage from the area showed hazmat silhouettes moving through dust haze and black steel cases being loaded onto military trucks. That same day, a European news outlet published an interview with an anonymous scientist. His voice was distorted, and his face was a silhouette. What he said was jarring.
We weren't inside the bunker that day. Before the attack began, we were moved north and told to cut off all communication.
They told us, this operation can't succeed unless you disappear. At the same time, the Associated Press leaked parts of a classified Pentagon report. Its last page held a single line.
Objective not confirmed, but optics achieved.
Meaning, the target wasn't verified, but the picture was delivered. What could that sentence possibly mean? So, with everything we've seen so far, what's the real story behind this whole operation? The strike was a staged war designed for politics and profit. The strike coincided with election season, and major defense contracts were signed at the same time. Not a real war, just the look of one. Minimum damage, maximum gain. The missing nukes? Maybe they were never there to begin with. And all that's left are the people who profited. The missing scientists and the leaked intel were part of a pre-planned inside job. What if U.S. intelligence had contacted the scientists in advance and spirited them out right before the strike? If that's the case, what's left? Just empty buildings, hollow bunkers, and a facade of destruction. This scenario suggests a chilling theory. This was a surgical operation to eliminate key assets and monopolize nuclear technology. The strike is justified. The evidence conveniently disappears. And the truth? It slipped away before anyone could pin it down. Some argued the strike wasn't a war at all. It was a rehearsal, a staged assault on facilities already empty, broadcast for the world to see. But maybe it went further than that. What if this was less a military drill and more a psychological one? Iran was genuinely developing nukes, and the US and Israel were justified in their military response. Those who believe this argue that without the strike, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon within a year. They argue a preemptive strike was the only viable self-defense. Inspections were blocked, and enrichment levels were reaching critical. But why was there no radiation? And there's still no explanation for where the scientists went. Every ripple, from government statements to market swings to online debates, was part of the test. The bombs may have struck Iran, but the real target was global perception. In that sense, the audience wasn't just Iran. It was every one of us watching. So, which possibility do you believe? Looking at all these pieces, the truth might be buried somewhere, far more complex. Could this have been more than just a military strike, but the opening act of something much bigger? The Iranian nuclear facility was destroyed. The international community let its guard down for a moment, and politics moved on to the next thing. But even now, no nation and no authority has stated what was truly destroyed or why it mattered. Share your thoughts in the comments. What do you think really happened? Don't miss out on the next content. Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications.